Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the magnificent, wonderful, impressive, gorgeous, best miniature I've seen in a long time, especially for the Cities of Sigmar. But when this person dropped, it was just the greatest thing. Yes, I'm of course talking about Tahlia Vedra, the Lioness of the Parch, that has been sent to me early by Games Workshop to build up and paint for all of you, and that is exactly what we are doing today, and I'm really excited, and we're going to jump right in and do this. So she has been primed in Wraithbone, and the color we're going to be using first is Black Legion. Now we're going to be applying this over the inside of the wings, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting this via the inside of the wings, followed by the outside of the wings, then the body, and then we'll get on with Tahlia. So we might try and get to a Warhipster battle ready all over, but I doubt it at this point, because it's going to be quite a complex build. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with Black Legion as mentioned. We need to count along these wing feathers 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then on the one next to it, which is this one, we're going to start applying the Black Legion all over. This is just on the inside, and there are elements of black on the rest of the wings, but just for the sake of making things nice and easy for us, we're just going to block this bit in first. So with that Black Legion all applied to those areas, we're now going to continue with Black Legion, but now what we're going to do is going to use Lahmian Medium. I'm going to use this to do a little bit of blending type thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some Black Legion. I'm just going to refill the lid, just there we go. And we're going to take the Black Legion, and we're going to apply this down the feather, and then we're going to use Lahmian Medium to kind of blend it out. So we're going to start just here. I'm going to do this on both sets of wings. We're going to take it all the way down, just like that. Then we're going to wash the brush. And then we're going to grab Lahmian Medium and around the tip. We're just going to add this in. Wash the brush once more. Just going to use that to absorb any excess, like that. Like so. Then we're going to rinse and repeat. So we're going to grab the Black Legion. I'm going to come over to the next feather, bring it all the way down. Wash the brush, grab the Lahmian Medium, and take it a little bit further up this time. Like that. And so on and so forth. We can do the next two together because they're actually folded over one another. Like this. Wash the brush. Grab the Lahmian Medium. Wash the brush. Absorb excess, like so. I'm going to continue like this all the way around. all the feathers. And one thing to point out is that when we get to the top feathers, you look here on the box, so these ones here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Once we get to this one here, we're going to start doing this on the back as well. Okay, make sense? Cool. Just move that out of the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is our last one for just the inside. So with that all done on both sets of wings, this one's still drying at the moment, but don't worry about that because we're now going to move on to the next colour, and it might look a little bit rough at first, but don't worry, we're going to sort that out. And we're going to start sorting it out now. So we're going to take some Seraphim Sepia next, and we're going to apply this over the next rung up of wings on the inside, of wings of feathers. So we're going to apply this in here. Like that, and then we're going to take the Seraphim Sepia and we're going to start applying this over the top of the areas or the feathers where we've done the blending. So with that all done, you should have some wings that are looking somewhat like this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add that kind of striping effect that you can see on them. And the colour we're going to be using for that is some Ratling Grime. And we don't want to use very much here. And what we want to do is we want to kind of start around this kind of one, just here. So I'm just going to take some of that off. And we're just going to place our kind of stripes first by wherever we want to put them. I'm going to do this on a side by side. So we're going to add our first one just there. I'm going to add another one just there as well. Then we're going to move over to the next feather. Going to add our first stripy thing just here. Going to add another one there like that. And we'll add another one just there. And then what we need to do, we need to start going back the other way. Just like that sort of thing. I think we could probably actually do with adding another slightly smaller one on this one. Like that. I'm actually going to add one just here as well. Like that. I'm going to do this all the way around, but just on the inside. We don't need to do this on the outside. So with that Ratling Grime all applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Karak Stone and we're going to dry brush this over the top of those lower, darker wings. And this is just going to kind of tie together all the colour that we've got going on, as well as add some highlights down here in the black. So with that Karak Stone dry brush applied, those bottom wings are starting to look really, really nice, especially on the outside as well. So what we're going to do now is going to move on to our next colour, which is going to be a roughly 4 parts Wyldwood to 2 parts contrast medium. So it's technically a 2 to 1, but we've done 4 to 2, because we want to have enough to kind of get us all the way there. And what we're going to do here is we're going to apply this over the top of the remaining inner feathers on the wing. just like that. And if you're feeling a little bit spicy, and for the sake of saving some time, what we're going to do now is we're going to start on the back here. I'm going to apply this over the remaining larger feathers. Like this. We're not going to go over the top of the next rung up for the majority of the wing. However, what we are going to do is we're going to paint in this mix over these large feathers. But not this one. And with that Wyldwood and contrast medium mix applied, we're then going to take a roughly 4 parts Gore-Grunta Fur to 1 part Lamia medium mix. And this is just to improve the flow a little bit, because what we're going to do now is we're going to apply this over the top of all of the remaining feathers up to where the harness is just there. Well, this is actually where we're starting to get into the realms of fur. So I'm going to start right down under here. And begin applying this. Like so. And we flip it over and we start pulling it in to the rest of it. So with that all done, we've got all of our base coats on the wings. So what we're going to do, and while this won't make a whole lot of sense, is we are going to now actually move on to the rest of the fur and the flesh down here. And the colour we're going to be using is some Skeleton Horde. And we're just going to start up here. Just like this. You basically want to get this over the top of all of the remaining hair and flesh all the way around. And then we're going to start kind of blending the colours together and brightening it all up. Just take your time, take it in sections. And then once that's done, we'll come back. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Gore-Grunta Fur to 2 parts Lahmian Medium mix, because we're going to be treating this as a bit of a blendy wash. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be going over the top of all of our Gore-Grunta Fur areas again, and we're also going to be doing a bit of blending on the hair. Now we're going to start on the hair, and what we want to do is coming right up the middle of the lion's face, so starting along here, is you want to apply this over the top like this. I want to get this all over, but what we're going to do is we're also going to bring it down around this side of the head. Like that. Then we're going to wash the brush, and then around here we're just going to go with a clean, dryish brush. Create a little bit of a kind of blended effect, so it moves from the Gore-Grunta Fur into the skeleton horde, like that sort of thing. And we're just going to do the same thing over on the other side. Like that. Wash the brush. And create that sort of blended effect. Like that. Then, what we're also going to do here is going to very carefully apply this over the top of the nose. Like that. Need to actually add a little bit of it just here, just to kind of even it out, so we can wash the brush. Like that, you see. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to apply this once again over the hair down here. And come up to around about there. And then once again, wash the brush. And then just do a little bit of blending, like that. And then we're going to continue this along all of the hair. And then, as mentioned, we're going to once again go over the top of all of the Gore-Grunta Fur on the wings. We're still using our 4:2 Gore-Grunta Fur Lahmian Medium mix, because I realised we haven't actually talked about the legs and things. So we are doing this over the top of those, and to give you a demonstration here, we're going to get this over the top of this section here, like that, and in there. And then on this leg, for example, I'm going to apply this over the top of all the hair, like that. I'm going to bring it down over that little tuft of hair. I'm going to bring it down to around about there, like that. Make sure we get this over the top of the inside of the leg as well. We're going to wash the brush, and then around the knee, we're going to do a little bit of blending, and then around the leg as well. We're going to do a little bit of blending. Just like that. And you can see I've already done it on that leg and the front leg. So we're going to do this around the inside. So just under here, there is some hair. So we're going to apply this like that. Going to bring it round and down. Then we're going to wash the brush. Give it the old blend again. Same for right down there. And then lastly, a bit which you absolutely won't be able to see, got the inside leg as well. Like that. And of course we've got the front leg, but this is a little bit easier because we can just mash the paint in there and bring it down. Same on that leg as well. You can then wash the brush. And give it a good blend in. The only thing to watch out for here is this bit, because that's quite easy to miss. Just an angle of that I didn't quite get. Like that. And I haven't done the wings yet, so now it's time for me to move on to the wings. So with that all done now, what we're going to do is we're going to once again take Seraphim Sepia, and we're going to use this to shade our remaining kind of fleshy areas down here where we don't have any Gore-Grunta Fur. Like that sort of thing. But what we're also going to do is going to use this to shade the Wyldwood. It starts to bring it all a little closer together. So with that done, before we do any highlighting around here, so dry brushing and things, it's all been shaded, it's all looking pretty cool. I actually did also apply the Seraphim Sepia again over the top of that middle rung, because I just wanted to bring it down just a little bit to be more in line with the rest of the kind of really bright parts, so do bear that in mind. But what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to apply this over the top of the kind of armoured parts of the scorpion tail. I'm going to do this over the top of all of them, although as you would have noticed from the box art, the top one has got a bit of a red tint to it. Don't worry, we'll get it. So with that all done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Guilliman Flesh and we're going to apply this on the sort of fleshy bits in between. And so with that done, we then want to take some Flesh Tearers Red. I'm going to apply this over the top of the stinger, up here, and over round about a half of the one segment next to it. I'm going to bring it like this, and then over the next segment, I'm going to apply this over around about half. Like that. Wash the brush. And then we'll just blend it. And we'll also use the tip of our brush just to absorb and remove those little blobs of mistakes that I just made. And then next up, we're going to do the same thing at the other end, but with some Gore-Grunta Fur. From one end to the other, we're now going to do some work on the face. And we're going to take some Black Legion here and we're going to apply this firstly over the eyes. I've got way too much on my brush there. There we go. I'm going to apply this over the eyes like so. Then we're going to bring it down to that little crease back there, and same thing on this side. Like that. We're also going to apply the Black Legion over the top of the little straps. Around the snout. Like so. We're going to apply this over the nose. Like that, and we're going to apply this around the bottom lip. So you want to start up here. I'm going to bring this down like this, around the corner. In there, and then up here again. And with that done, we're then going to take some Volupus Pink. I'm going to apply this over the top of the tongue, the teeth, and the gums. don't worry, we will sort the teeth out in just a sec. With that Volupus Pink all applied, we then take some Karak Stone and we use this to pick out the teeth. We're just going to leave a bit of the pink towards the base for the gums. And with that now done, we're going to take some Ratling Grime. I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the claws. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Evil Sunz Scarlet. And we're going to use this to paint in this kind of fabric here on the reins, and we're going to use this to paint the outside of the cloth down here. And the reason we're using Evil Sunz Scarlet rather than a contrast paint is that we've got a bunch of mistakes all over the top of these bits. So rather than kind of relayering them with Wraithbone and doing it that way, we're just going to very quickly apply Evil Sunz Scarlet over the top, which should give us a very, very close Baal Red, which is how we would normally do these things. However, if you have been really careful, you've not gotten this colour over the top of these details like I have, then you could use Baal Red here. With that Evil Sunz Scarlet all applied, just whilst we're waiting for it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the leather straps and the inside of those red cloaky bits coming off the armour. And we're also going to apply this over the large diamonds on the armour on the front of the Manticore. These ones just here. And with all of that Black Legion now applied to all of those details, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Blood Angels Red and Contrast Medium. And we're going to apply this over the top of the red, just to shade it down a bit. So with that shading applied to the red, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors and we're going to apply this over, well, almost all of our remaining details. We've got a bunch of kind of like little gold bits, but we'll cover those in just a minute. But for now, what we want to do is just want to get this over the top of all of the armor, all little belt buckles and straps and things scattered around. We've got the chains of the reins, for example. There's a whole lot of silver details, so I'd recommend having your product photography or the box art in front of you for this bit. And just take your time. So with all that Iron Warriors now applied, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. We're going to use this to paint in all of our decorative bits. So we've got the little fixtures for the parchment just here, which we're going to do. that sort of thing. We've got all of this decoration here in amongst the black armor panel. Just like that sort of thing. We've got the little skulls here on these tassels. Just in there like that. On the sides at the back, we've got the hanging twin-tailed comets. Like this one here. And we've got the little kind of skull face. That sort of thing. And we've also got on the top here, we've got the Sigmar rune. In there, like that sort of thing. We've also got, just spotted them, we'll do this under here I think. You should have these little kind of twin-tailed comets and things in the chainmail as well. Which also need to be gold. So all of that Retributor Armour applied, just whilst we're waiting for it to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Nazdreg Yellow and we're going to apply this over the top of the tassels. Just here. And with that done, our final base coat for the Manticore is going to be some Agrax Earthshade. We're going to apply this over the top of the parchment just down here, like that. And like that. So with all of our base coats now applied to the Manticore, what we're going to do is we're going to add some shades. Now the first of these is going to be some Targor Rageshade. And we're going to be applying this over the top of all of the gold and all of the silver and all of the kind of hard black details. With that Targor Rageshade applied to all the silver, gold and the black, we do have one more area of black to do, and that is the tail, just here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Nuln Oil, we're going to apply this over the top of, well, the black. And we don't need to do this segment here, or the stinger. With that done, the Manticore is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. And it's looking pretty fabulous. And we will take it to the next level, but I think what we can do now is we can move on to Tahlia Vedra and the very large saddle throne thing and get that now up to the same standard, which is pretty cool. So we're going to move on to that now. And the color we're going to be using next is some Wyldwood. I'm going to be using this paint in all of the wood of the throne. So I'm just going to start here. I'm going to start applying this just like this. So with all that Wyldwood applied, we're then going to take some Dark Angel's Green and we're going to apply this over the top of the cushion. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Baal Red. I'm going to use this to do, well, quite a few details, but firstly what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of freehanding up here. So we're going to be on top of the banners. What you want to look for, you want to look for this kind of crease just in there. And we don't want to kind of start our little triangle next to that. So we're going to go around about there, kind of halfway between there and there. And we're going to draw a little diagonal line going like that. And then we're going to draw another diagonal line to meet that point to create a little arrow. And then on the other one, we're going to do much the same thing, but just underneath here where this kind of crease is. So we're just going to right in the middle there, draw a diagonal line, and then on the other side draw another diagonal like that. We will be replicating this on the other side, but once you've done that, we then want to block in the rest of these banners with the Baal Red. Now, in addition to these banners, we also want to do the outward facing areas of Tahlia Vedra's clothes. So there we go, that's one of the banners. So the outward facing areas of Tahlia Vedra's clothes will include this kind of bit of fabric that goes across here. That sort of thing. There is a shoulder pad there which I was just checking for. There we go. It's the same thing on the back, just in there, but what we also have is this kind of fabric area around here and on the other leg. So with that Baal Red all applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to use this to do another little bit of freehand, I'm afraid, but we're also going to use this to block in a bunch of other details. So what we're going to do is at the top here is we're going to draw in some chevrons now. So we're going to start by drawing a diagonal line that runs kind of perpendicular to our red one. And then we're going to draw another one, comes across like that. Then I'm going to come next to it, and we're going to draw another one like that. And like that. Then we're going to draw another one that once again runs almost perpendicular to the other one. And then I'm going to block in this area. And this area. That sort of thing. We will replicate this on the other flag as well. This one's a little bit easier. So we come down like that. And like that. And then we, oop, a little too much Black Legion there. Give it a little space. Draw another line. And another line. And then once again, we'll use some space. Draw a line. And draw a line. And then we once again block in those areas. Like that. And like that. And then we will replicate this back there. But what we will also do with the Black Legion is we will use this to paint in Tahlia's hair, as well as the belt, the trim on the shield, and any kind of undershirts or clothing. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Darkoath Flesh and we're going to apply this over the top of her face. With that Darkoath Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Gryph-Charger Grey and we're going to apply this to the shrunken heads back here in the chair. And next up, we're going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to use this over the top of any parchment, of which there's quite a lot scattered around the model. But what we're also going to do is going to use this on the blank sections that we've got remaining up here on the banners. So with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors and we're going to apply this over top of all of our sort of metallic details. There are going to be some variations, but we're going to get the Iron Warriors on here first as a base coat for all of them. And then we're going to do a couple of little variations here and there, as well as things like the gold. You don't have to do this over the bits you do want to be gold, but ultimately this will help you just pick out all of the silver details if you do them all now. Well, all the metallics. You've got areas like the sword, the armour, various little bits of decoration and trinkets, things like that scattered around. All kinds. With all that Iron Warriors applied, there is one thing I forgot to do, which is to take some Flesh Tearers Red and to apply this over the grips of the swords. Now that our sword is sufficiently redded, what we're now going to do is take some thinned down Retributor Armour. We're going to apply this over the top of all of the remaining details and also any other areas that you want to be gold. I'm just going to start just here on the little lion relief on the chair. Got the stirrups as well. Not that it feels like they do very much. You just want to take your time, make your way around picking out all these gold details, and then once that's done, we'll come back. So with that done, we've got all of our base coats now on, so it's time to add some shades. The first of these is going to be, once again, Targor Rageshade. I'm going to use this to shade the silver, the gold, and the black. We're also going to use this to shade the red of this sword handle, in here, like so. But we're not going to use this to shade her hair. We don't need to do that. With that Targor Rageshade all applied, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil and we're going to apply this over the top of the cushion. And finally, we're going to once again take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Contrast Medium and Blood Angels Red. I'm going to use this to shade all of the red. So with that all done, Tahlia Vedra is now at what I would call a Warhipster battle ready all the way around. She's looking phenomenal. However, we are of course not going to leave her there. We're going to take her to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some highlights. And the first of these is going to once again be some Karak Stone. And we're going to be dry brushing this. Firstly, we'll do it on this wing, over the top of all of the feathers that we haven't already got. So we're going to do this over the top of our Wyldwood areas. We're then going to take this into the Gore-Grunta Fur areas as well. But what we're also going to do is we're going to apply this over the top of the blackest sections of the stinging tail, so around here. Up to there. We're not going to do the red. So that sort of thing. You can use this if you want to as well over the top of the chair. However, it can be a little bit tricky, so you don't have to if you don't want to. The chair is already in really good shape. Couldn't have timed that better if I tried. So with that Karak Stone dry brush applied, I've actually done this over the top of her hair as well, and that's not where we're going to leave it for the hair, but it's nice to get a first highlight on there just because we had the opportunity. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take some Deathclaw Brown. I'm going to use this to now dry brush specifically over the top of our Gore-Grunta Fur areas. Like that, and then we're going to start to bring this in over the top of the mane as well. So with that Deathclaw Brown applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Screaming Skull, and we're going to use this to dry brush very gently, more gently than I just did, over the top of the lion's mane and the face. But we're also going to use this over the top of his legs. And just a little bit around here over the shoulders. With that all done, what we're going to do now is going to move on. I'm going to take some thinned down Mephiston Red. I'm going to use this to highlight the red section of the stinger. You also want to just make sure that you grab that kind of close half of the segment behind it. Just like that sort of thing. So with that Mephiston Red applied to the stinger, what we're now going to do is we're going to take Evil Sunz Scarlet. And we're going to use this to now highlight all of the red details, including the red stinger. So we're going to use this to pick out the sharp areas. Like that. that sort of thing back there. But what we're also going to do now, as mentioned, is going to use this to highlight all of the other red details as well. We want to fully do all of these edges rather than just the sharpest corners. So with that Evil Sunz Scarlet applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Bestigor Flesh. I'm going to use this to add a really tiny little spot highlight to the scorpion tail. So we're just going to use this to pick out the sharpest corners. Like that sort of thing. And we're also going to do this on all of our other red details, but these can be slightly bigger highlights. So for example, just here across the bit of chest, could just do a little dot there, but I'm just going to widen it out just a little bit. Just like this sort of thing. Similarly, for example, up here on the red flags. So with that all done, the red is now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our remaining black areas. So this is going to include areas such as all of the straps, the nose, the trim on the shield, the inside of the red cloaks on the armor of the Manticore, and again, just take your time, move your way around the model. So with all that Dawnstone applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Administratum Grey. Not Dawnstone again, that would be silly. And we're going to apply this to the sharpest points in all the black. All the little corners and things. So with that done, we've now finished all of our black details. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some pallid witch flesh and we're going to use this to highlight the teeth and the claws. So with that pallid witch flesh all applied, we're then going to take a small amount of Flashgitz Yellow. I'm going to apply this in either corner of the lion's eyes. Just like that. And so with that done, we're then going to take some Wraithbone. I'm going to use this to highlight the face. So with that all done, the lion's face is looking absolutely fantastic. So what we're going to do now is move on. We're going to move on to all of the metallics. Now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down lead belcher. I'm going to apply this over the top edge of the sword and over the top of Tahlia's armour, but we're not going to apply this over the top of any of the Manticore's armour. So we're just going to do this like that, just avoiding the recess of the comet. And then similarly on the other side. Like so. So we're going to get essentially two tones on the sword. And then what we're also going to do, as mentioned, is we're going to use this to relayer her armour. So we'll just do this here on the shoulder. So we're going to start applying this lead belcher like this over the flat armour panels. Again, just avoiding any of the recesses. So with that lead belcher now applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down iron breaker. And we're going to use this to now highlight all of the silver. And this is going to take a little bit of time. There is quite a bit of it, more than you're possibly thinking right now. But just take your time, move around the model. So I'm going to start here on this shoulder of the Manticore and work my way up. So with all of that silver now highlighted, she's looking very, very close to being done, and she is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the gold. And again, there's a fair bit of this scattered around, so just once again take your time. Make your way around the model. Make sure you get it all. And then once all the gold's highlighted, we shall return. So with all that Liberator Gold applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Flayed One Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight her facial features. And with that Flayed One Flesh applied, we're then going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to apply this over the top of her eyeball. And with that Black Legion applied, then we're going to take a tiny little dot of Screaming Skull I'm going to apply this in the corner. Of her eyes. Just like that. So with that done, Tahlia Vedra, the Lioness of the Parch, is now all finished. She looks absolutely fantastic. So there's only one thing left to do, and that's the base. And we're not going to do too many complicated things here. Instead, we're just going to keep things nice and simple. We're going to first take some Gryph-Charger Grey. We're going to apply this over the top of all the stone. You of course can do this any way that you wish. To match the rest of your Cities of Sigmar army. So with that done, we're then going to take some Cygor Brown and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the soil. And with that Cygor Brown applied, we're then going to take some Ratling Grime and we're going to use this on the tree branches. With that Ratling Grime applied, we then take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of the skulls and bones and the one little bit of parchment that's down here as well. Got the skull there. Got a skull just here. There's another one somewhere, I think. Maybe I'm imagining it. Anyway, we have some little bones just in here. And we got the parchment just there. Like that. I'm concerned about the skull I thought was there. That Skeleton Horde applied, we're then going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over the top of the wood. And with that done, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. I'm going to use this to paint in our metallic details. I just fell over that sentence completely. We've got the helmet just here. Like that. We've got a little kind of Sigmarite icon. Probably can't see it too well. Just down here. And we've also got a little twin-tailed jobby on there. As well as the little nail. Like that. And there's also right under here a little vent. And we can also apply this over. And with that all done, we're then going to take some Sterling Battlemire I'm going to apply this over the top of all of the negative remaining space on the base. And then we're going to leave that to dry overnight. Although, you don't have to leave it to dry overnight. Just wait for it to dry. However long that takes. Now that all that Sterling Battlemire is dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade. I'm going to use this to shade all the silver that we've applied to various details. With that done, one thing we definitely didn't forget to do across the entire model is to take some Cygor Brown. I'm going to use this to add some little text to all of the paper details that are scattered around. I'm going to start back here. So we're going to use a small amount of Cygor Brown. And you've got these little paper trails back here, which we're going to use to add these little squiggly lines of text to. So with that done, what we're then going to do is take some Tyrant Skull. I'm going to use this to dry brush the entirety of the base. And if you expected anything different, you haven't been watching long enough. So with some tufts added and the rim of the base done in Abaddon Black, Tahlia Vedra, the Lioness of the Parch, is now finished. And she is absolutely spectacular. I'm so happy with this one. I can't tell which one's my favourite out of the three, her, Belthanos or Ionis. But I think she's just absolutely fantastic. And I've been so excited for this one for a long time. It was a real honour to paint this one. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.